Hello and welcome, Lynx here, and yes, this is another episode of Chronotopia Second Skin! In the end, I did deliver, huh? I did deliver. There is a reason for that. The reason which, let's keep it a secret. Anywho, shortly after Medea's lightning visit, and once it was decided that Kionna was in a condition to have visits, Tali rushed over to her bedside, his arms full of presents. Yeah, well, like that matters. The young mother was moved by his attention and received him quite amiably. Really?
How do you feel, my lady? I was still weak a few days ago, but I feel all better now, although I sleep very little.
Little? I would totally expect you to sleep a lot. But what do I know?
I'm glad to hear that. Doubtlessly this ordeal has been difficult, but you have prevailed in the end. And how is our little cherub?
Cherub, wow.
He's doing pretty well. He cries a lot at night to call for me, but I was told it is normal. He's still sleeping. Would you like to take him in your arms?
The sovereign gladly accepted and embraced the child while gazing lovingly at him. But not at her, obviously. In front of such a delighted and radiant face, Kionna began to adopt the same expression by unconscious imitation. To be fair, she's always been doing that face. It's weird.
How much he loves children.
Tali suddenly seemed to realize something and raised his head. He's also doing the same expression. Have you considered how would you like to name him? For my part, I have a list of propositions.
I'll gladly listen to them. I'll choose the one that will suit me best.
After multiple enumerations and heated debates, the couple settled on two names in particular.
Only Clotaire and Philibert remained then.
Why? Why are you doing this to your child?
In that case, my heart leans towards Clotaire. This is a name rich in history.
Why are you doing this to your child again?
It's settled then. Let us welcome little Clotaire, my ray of sunshine, whom I already cherish. Wrong voice, but whatever.
Winter. I'm looking forward to winter. I like winter. I think it's become my favorite season overall, to be honest. Tali's affection for his son and the tenderness he was now showing her rekindled the flame in the prince's heart. She was not as bored as she used to, since she was now entirely devoted to her son and most of her time taking care of him. Between two breastfeeding sessions, she would occasionally watch this tiny being sleep. He seemed so serene, so innocent, that she was fascinated. That she wanted to protect him in the face of all opposition.
You will lead a good life. I'll do everything I can to give you the best.
Oh boy. Please don't involve Medea in this, okay? Don't do this to her. She would then place her finger in the palm of his hand. Although she was still a young mother, Kionna had very quickly grown attached to her offspring. She felt important, useful, optimistic. Dude, I still, feel like something might happen. All the concerns from the previous months had been raised, swept by waves.
In the end, it may not be so bad to be the prince's mistress. I could always raise his children while waiting for the day when he'll make me a seat to the throne.
Why are you still talking about that?
I must simply learn to be patient.
Good luck being outlived by current queen. Tali's outpouring of love for the heiress and Clotaire did not go unnoticed. He had become so cheerful that his own wife did not recognize him anymore. He who had been so cold was now casually laying a kiss on her cheek. He was greeting everyone, complimenting everyone. He seemed to fly away with each step rather than walking. To make matters worse, all he did was talk about the sun. That was the nickname he had given to his son. As soon as he was awake, the son was never off his lips, and when he went to bed, he would call him again. Wow. Just wow. In short, he was walking on air, and the queen could only grow suspicious. I mean, I'm surprised you are not suspicious by now. His hunting parties had become so long, and his fixation on constantly demanding the son had become so irritating that it did not take that long for her to be worked up.
My husband is not himself anymore. He must have fallen in love with someone else to be so elated. Who could this person be? And how did she manage to capture his heart where I have failed?
Despite her submissive and timid nature, she was nevertheless an extremely jealous woman. Oh boy. Is she a yonder? Are we going there with this? Although she knew Tali was likely to find himself a mistress, he was the man she knew from childhood, the man she was yearning for. Seeing him so blissful content while she was left on the sidelines could only hurt her. Two's curiosity had the upper hand.
I need to know!
The next day, she took advantage of the monarch's absence and summoned one of his close valets in order to make him confess.
Listen, if you reveal to me who my husband fell in love with, I will make you rich.
But I'm already rich. As it happened, the fellow had precisely overwhelming debts that he was not able to repay. Yeah. He only protested for the sake of appearance before spilling everything. That Tali had found himself a mistress, that he would frequently visit her, and that she had just given him a child, a son. Seraphine rewarded him as she had promised and retracted to her quarters in a nasty mood.
Two have been replaced by another. And she gives my beloved what I cannot give him. How could I possibly fight? According to what the valet said, she's quite young and quite beautiful. Of course Tali is happy without me. How could it be otherwise?
A deep distress seized her. She had been trying to fulfill her husband and be irreproachable for months, for years, to no avail. And her efforts were now reduced to ashes because of a stranger.
A new wife and a child? I've become dispensable, a bother, a burden. He's going to rid himself of me, to repudiate me. I'll be ordered to return to my parents and be the laughingstock of the kingdom. What are they going to think of me? Their only daughter, on whom they had pinned all of their hopes. They will be ashamed of me. I'll be sent to a convent, but I do not want to live a life of a prayer. I want to stay with Tali forever. I want to give him his family he so desires. I want it to be me and not this girl.
Time to go on a mission. Yeah, in another time, in another world, they could have been friends.
Yeah, maybe.
Unfortunately, their queen had been sinking into the abyss of despair for far too long. She had been kowtowing for far too long. Am I the only one who, would not have a problem if the woman I love could not have children? Am I the weird one of the bunch or something? I would have absolutely zero problems with that. Sure, obviously, I mean, in this case, the woman might actually want a child. So, yeah, but I'm not like, oh, you can't? I'm gonna find someone else. It's ridiculous. Anyway. Her devastation was such that instead of feeling sadness and withdrawing to herself a little more, she was seized with violent anger. She knew all too well the gruesome fate awaiting her. She had always known, and its imminence outraged her. She began to boil with rage, consumed with hatred. I thought for a second she would still shake a bit. When the sovereign returned from his latest excursion, she pretended to be happy. In front of him, she did not let any of her torment show, even though she was piercing her hand with a fork.
Damn, seriously.
I mean, can't blame her, really. Her heart had been dried up and she only thought about eliminating her rival. Makes sense, to be honest. With her restlessness that was impossible to ease, she was relentlessly pacing her room back and forth while biting her thumb. She had to save herself. She had to find a way to escape repudiation. As she was hatching a last-ditch plan, she was repeating over and over again.
It is either her or me, her or me!
The queen's misfortunes did not reach either Talia or Kionna, and for a while it seemed that she was holding her wrath back, or that she had changed her mind. That was not the case. Ooh, I know, she was keeping it inside. To eventually, explode. One day, while the young Moor was breastfeeding her son on the patio of the Clermont's domain, a retainer came to find her.
Lord Talia is inviting you to join him at the castle with little Clotaire. At the castle? I thought he'd not want me there. The situation has changed. You've brought his heir to the world. It is too natural that he would consider giving you an official status. Do you accept his proposal? Gladly. Very well, I shall prepare your trip at once.
Kionna was so thrilled that she was unable to sleep all night. All she could think about was the enjoyment she would feel while spending time with her lover. How happy she would be to leave her admittedly gilded cage behind, and above all, how proud she would be to stay in the king official's home. She kissed her newborn, nestled against him, a tranquil smile on her face.
Tomorrow we'll have a chance to see your father. Oh, I can hardly wait. We're going to have so much fun together.
Or will you? Thus, it was in an advanced state of tiredness that she climbed the carriage, to the point that she was yawning as soon as the domain was out of sight. As she was falling asleep, her son in her lap, the vehicle dived into the morning fog. Had Kionna been awake, she could have caught sight of a raven perched on a branch, a bad omen. The ride ended so quickly that she barely had time to awaken from her dreams. Worn out but happy, she unquestioningly followed her escort. When she arrived at the castle's great hall, the servant suddenly turned in her direction to grab her.
What are you doing? Let go of me! You have no right to do that!
Deaf to her complaints, they made sure to hold her arms back so that she could not defend herself and snatch her son away from her.
Clotaire! Give him back! I beg of you, do not hurt him! If Lord Talia were to know...
She was swiftly interrupted by an evil silhouette. Is she evil for?
Oh, but Lord Talia will kept in the dark about this. You see, he's on a trip for a couple of days. This leaves us ample opportunity to settle our differences.
Kionna stared at the stranger without understanding. Well, what I understand is let's dive you into the archives. Sun, Moon, and Talia. What the prince fails to mention to poor Talia is that he's already married. To a rather jealous woman. Dude, what do you mean rather jealous woman? Sorry, but being jealous of someone... like, basically cheating on you, that's not jealousy. And as a discretion is not his strong suit, he spends his time pronouncing the name of his mistress and his children, who he has named Sun and Moon. Because he suddenly goes hunting a lot, the wife realizes that he is hiding something from her and blackmails his secretary to make him confess what is going on in exchange for money. Once she knows, the queen orders that Talia's children be sent to her, claiming that the prince wishes to see them, and asks a cook who is serving them to her husband as a revenge. Because he's kind-hearted, the cook prefers to hide the children and prepare goats instead. But since the queen's hatred is still not quenched, she asks Talia herself to come and blame her for all of her miseries. The princess tries to defend herself in vain. She's sentenced to be thrown into a great fire. I mean, it's the dude who should be thrown, but Fortunately, the prince rushed over at the last minute and, upon learning the truth, burns his wife at the stake to punish the murder of his children. What? What about that guy? Dude, he deserves the punishment. He tends to do the same with the cook, but it is revealed that they are alive and the family is finally reunited. As the former queen is dead, Talia takes her place and all ends well. Okay. I mean, I'm still gonna kind of blame Kionna over here. I mean, to be fair, she's never asked if he was married or whatever, right? I know he also didn't say anything. Whatever. Basically, what I'm saying is the actual queen of this country She's the victim of the whole situation. Kionna stared at the stranger without understanding.
Who are you exactly? Hey, how silly of me! I've not introduced myself yet. I'm Seraphine, Lord Talish's spouse.
Stunned, the young Moor only realized at the moment that she had fallen into a trap.
The Queen! Impossible! How did she learn about my existence?
Seraphine came nearer and grabbed her rival by the chin.
So you're his mistress, huh? The one who makes him so ecstatic? You're a little bitch plotting to destroy me, planning to evict me.
That is not my intention. Yes, it is. The princess started to object, but her protestation did not ring true. She had indeed hoped that the monarch would grow weary of his wife and give her place away. She was definitely guilty. Yeah?
Do you truly think that I'm going to believe you? The child I hold in my hands is the very proof of your sin. I mean, I'm undoubtedly not worthy of your forgiveness, but I would be grateful to you for sparing the child. He's innocent and... How well she knows how to speak. You possessed my husband with the same pretty words, have you not? Weed! You are unaware of the crime we've committed! Because of you, my world is upside down, I cannot think straight! Because of you, blood is all I think about.
Kionna tried to apologize, but the queen would not listen, which is understandable.
You can keep your eloquence. I'm not caring the slightest. Ever since you took my husband away from me, I've been dying. I'll never be able to find rest if I do not reciprocate the pain you caused me. Your beloved son will have his throat cut and be prepared with a variety of sauces. He'll be served as a meal to that unfaithful Tali who should return from his trip tonight. Thus, unbeknownst to him, the king will be the wolf to his little lambs, and I will be avenged. As for you, I'm going to take my time and ensure that you do not die too fast, and above all of that, you do not talk.
Oh, another fight? Dude, we are going wild on that. Philomena. Is a tale, I think I know that name. Is a tale that Chrétien de Troyes borrowed from the Metamorphoses by Ovid to translate and write it in his style. The king of Athens, Pandion, has two daughters, Progne and Philomena. The eldest is given in marriage to Tereus, and they go beyond the sea to the kingdom of Thrace. As Tereus is its sovereign, together having conceived a child and seem to live peaceful days. After 5 years, Progne starts to feel lonely and she asks to see her sister again. Tereus accepts and offers to go to Athens in person so that he can negotiate with Pandion, but he's difficult to convince as he's quite old and would rather Philomena keep taking care of him. Yet Tereus does not give up, and redoubles in tears and arguments until the king gracefully concedes. Fortunately, the moment he sets his eyes on the young girl, Tereus falls madly in love with her and has one obsession: possessing her. The ship has barely reached Thrace, that he leads her to an isolated house, and here we go again. Does something that sound people would do. Then he grabs a knife and cuts her tongue so that she would never tell anyone what has happened to her. After his wrongdoing, he leaves her under the surveillance of a farmer and claims to Progne that her sister is dead, which makes her sink into deep depression. In the meantime, Philomena tries to contact her family by enemies, but the farmer keeps her weather eye open. She thus thinks of a subterfuge, embroidering an immense tapestry that would narrate her misfortunes and sending it to the queen. When Progne receives it, she eventually understands the situation and manages to find her sister and hides her in the palace. Consumed by hatred, she resolves to sacrifice her son to her vengeance, cuts off his head and serves his flesh to her husband as a meal. I did not know that story. Kinda ridiculous, to be honest. I mean, it was her son. Cut someone else down, to be honest, like parents of your husband or something like that. Upon discovering the truth, Tereus throws himself on the two sisters to kill them, but the three of them turn into birds and fly away through the window. Okay. With those words, Seraphine took hold of a blade and forced the young woman to open her mouth. Horrified, the princess struggled like a demon in a desperate attempt to escape her cruelty. She kicked in all directions while moaning in vain. The servants were restraining her with an iron grip. To be fair, they should be able to hold her down. We know that she is not that strong. Before her aghast eyes, the queen grabbed her tongue and cut it off with one sharp move. I can't even imagine how much that must hurt. The pain was so excruciating that Kionna instantly shouted herself hoarse. All the servants stepped back as one. Holding up her head, she staggered from left to right while she was howling in a beastly way. She also had to fight so that she would not suffocate as blood was flowing freely in her mouth. After swallowing a certain amount of it, she began to spit it, kneeling on the ground. The flow would not stop and she felt increasingly unwell. On one hand, I feel bad for her, obviously. On the other, once again, you know, she's done what she's done. Sure, she did not know the guy had a freaking wife. But still. Her vision became blurry, the world started to spin and she could not see beyond the puddles surrounding her, the ocean that was staining her clothes as well as the queen's feet. The queen was still holding the newborn and was now wearing a triumphant smile that the young Moor could not even see.
Here you are, punished for your blasphemies. Within a few hours you will be dead, drained of your blood and energy.
Unless she will reset again.
Now it's your son's turn.
Seraphine walked away without even shooting her a glance. Dude, I like this CG, so good. Totally doing this. The princess tried to detain her, raise her hand, but she was unable to do anything. Ladies and gentlemen, we know how it goes. She's allowing herself death. The pain was unbearable, so unbearable in fact that Kionna would rather get rid of her own body and life. Her mind muddled by the terrestrial torments she was enduring, she soon became incapable of thinking straight and surrendered herself to the hands of God. That's how it goes. We know she would not, in reality, manage anything here. Thus she perished far too young, doomed by the will of fate,
By her own choices,
before she could even make use of the fairy's power. Her death instantly broke the pact she had made with Medea, and let her hurry back to the World Tree's side, although she was struck by her ephemeral protegee's fate.
Was she?
However, the news did not reach the ears of the unfortunate Nahima, who was still desperately waiting for her return of her mistress. Hey, it was said that she was not in this place yet, so, you know. I know. Actually, I remember it was said. She was not there. In spite of her duties, she was still regularly cleaning and tidying her room. How? The kingdom fell! Convinced that Kionna could reappear overnight, every night she would take a look out of the window of their prey.
Princess, I know that you cannot have possibly forgotten your Nahima.
Yes, she could. Actually, she could.
Surely you are unable to send me a message for the moment, but I'm persuaded that you are alive and well somewhere that you will return to me one day. Anyway, I wait as long as necessary until my last breath if needed.
Thus the servant spent her life vainly hoping for the return of her friend, but she would never see her again. That's endo. Right. It's fun that I have to trigger it every single time, except for the first choice, I think. Okay, invoke the fair even for... we all know you would not be able to. No one, I mean, to be fair, I'm speaking like anyone else would be able to, but no. In a final effort, and she was expelling an ever-increasing amount of blood, she summoned her godmother in her head.
Medea, make it so that I can go back time to undo my mistakes.
She did not have time to hear the response because she had already lost consciousness. Achievement unlocked, bleeding to death. The princess brutally regained consciousness in her bed, her breath taken away. No, decidedly, she could never get used to such a sensation. It was as if she had been snatched, sucked into her own flesh, as if she was... She was not really human anymore, as if her body was merely a giant machine, a quick to malfunction, a puppet that could be controlled at leisure. For the fourth time, she remained completely frozen, a terrifying expression on her face. Is it the fourth time? Maybe. Let's see, first was... yeah, okay. Her eyes bulging, her heart as unbridled as a drum that nothing could stop. She was vibrating to the sounds of the beats. She was slowly recovering. the use of her limbs. With each pulsation, it was another turn of the clock. One more second that was flowing by, one more memory that was flooding her mind. The alteration of time impaired her vision. Her room, so familiar, so peaceful, was getting more and more distorted. She could only see the cold ground covered in red. She could only see the evil grin of Seraphine. Her murderer. In contrast to previous times, she was unable to dispel the illusion and stay prisoner of her final moments for a long time. Her mouth on fire, lying in a pool of her own blood. Slowly she also felt as if she was suffocating and her wrists started to become irritated. She tried to scream. The empty air echoed.
No, not that!
Her agony seemed never-ending. Nothing made sense anymore. Suddenly she heard a cough in the same room. The simple sound dragged her away from Prince Tali's castle and she finally became able to perceive her surroundings. Without knowing it, her return had probably just saved her. Yet despite the change of scenery, her mind had not really left the nightmare and she still felt like she was dying and in danger. Barely conscious, Kionna mechanically stood up. Without moving an inch, staring vacantly into space, she ordered in a monotonous voice,
I need some time alone, let me be, Nahima. Understood, princess. When would you like me to come back? I'll come to get you myself.
Without really knowing why, the lady in waiting understood that her mistress had no intention to come find her. Oh boy, she felt a great deal of sadness, assuming that she was being removed from an important moment, but she could not protest. Given her harsh and brusque look, she could clearly see that pressing the young Moor would be pointless. She could only obey and hope that she would change her mind. With a small curtsy, Nahima exited the room.
You know where to find me if you ever need me.
The servant had barely been dismissed. The Kionna raised her eyes. Alright, I mean, honestly, your anger, like, it means nothing. They were bloodshot. She had restrained herself as best she could in Nahima's presence, but now she could let the bitterness that was eating her inside run wild.
How could she do such a thing to me? How could she murder me?
Am I the only one who's like... You know... It's fine, to be honest. Come on. Come on.
It hurt so much. So much. At least when I was thrown to the river, I died on a high note, and when they crucified me, I could still look at the sky. This time nothing, only red everywhere and ice cold walls. I can still feel it, that knife on my tongue, that blood taste, the spasm each time I spit blood, and my strength leaving me, the room faltering, the last around me as I collapse.
Again, it was your choices that led to that.
Dying that way seemed absolute disgrace for a princess.
I mean... do you still consider yourself a princess, really? I mean... She had to run riot, to let all of her rage erupt. What did you freaking... What was that? Books? Okay. So with a wave of her hand, she knocked over the row of well-ordered books that were on her desk.
All of this because Tali tricked me into becoming his mistress.
I mean... Not like you couldn't say no.
That coward waited for me to get pregnant before confessing the existence of his wife. Had he been honest with me, none of this would have ever happened.
True, he did hide, but at the same time... Have you asked?
For that matter, all he had to do was leave her. Had he repudiated her, as he seemed willing to do, I would have ascended to the throne with him and we would not have to hide anymore. It's entirely his fault. Nah.
Yours too, to be honest. Yours too. Still raging, she grabbed the curtains from her bed and slowly ripped them.
Worst of all, she took my son. Clotaire does not exist anymore. He has never existed again, seeing as I'm back at my starting point. I feel like I finally found a reason to leave. I thought I had found someone to fight for. Psst. Someone to protect and love.
Wow. I mean, clearly not that great of a protector over there.
He was all I had and they took him away from me. They killed him.
On the other hand, you don't know.
My darling, my sunshine, I not even have the time to truly know you.
Kionna not consumed by pain. I mean, it is terrible, yeah, but
I promised him that nobody would hurt him. I promised him that I would take good care of him, and I did not even get the chance.
I mean, you kind of had one.
This monstrous, simply monstrous.
By the way, has she ever met that dude that came to pick her before? I mean, I kind of doubt he was ever there, so, you know, you basically trusted him. It is kind of on you too, still. Some rando could come, tell you that prince that, or whatever, king that and that, wants you there. And you would believe that. Anywho, but it was still not enough. In a fit of fury, the girl felt an overwhelming need to balance her psychological pain with physical pain. She had to hurt herself to calm down, she had to punish herself for her failure. Although she was shifting the blame onto Tali and Sarfin, in her heart of hearts, she could not help loathing herself. Okay, makes sense. She was not yet able to admit it, but part of her traced the origin of her awful fate back to the decision she had taken. After all, she had given in to Tali's advance even though she did not completely trust him. If you think about it, it all started with telling her father to, you know, what to do to the donkey. So she had to mutilate herself, to sense her subconscious, to shout down her deafening regrets. This is why this time she grabbed the candle that light on her bedside table and squished it with bare hands. Then when she burned herself, she let out a raspy breath as the flame was dying between her fingers. The pain was not strong enough for her to be satisfied, but she was still feeling a little better. That stupid smile, that punchable face smile. Her thirst increased and she began to view her candelabra with gluttony. Her eyes started to gleam with a morbid light as a grin was forming at the corner of her lips.
How satisfying it would be to burn this castle down from the basement to the attic.
With you in it, yeah?
Are you sure about that, princess?
Kionna jumped upon hearing this unexpected voice and abruptly looked back.
Yara yara.
The fairy had appeared in one of the corners of the room without warning and was now emerging from the shadow with self-confidence.
I knew that I was right to watch over you since we forged the pact. You must always have that annoying tendency to let power go to their head and commit mistakes they regret later. But still, I'd not expect to see you go from princess to pyromaniac in less than an hour. Hang me if nothing has happened to trigger that sudden transformation.
The young Muru stared at Medea, even though she's clearly staring in the completely other direction. I had to point this out. Half scared, half irritated. Irritated with what? I'm sorry, what? She did not really want to explain her situation as it would make her waste some precious time, and she absolutely had to develop a new strategy. Someone tell her she sucks at strategy. On the other hand, she was still too scared of the fairy to dare upset her. I did remember making a promise to her back when she had visited her in Clermont's domain.
If by misfortune you come to return to the night of the pact, you must immediately inform me of the situation. Do you understand? Yes, godmother. I can assure that I will take you seriously and that I will do my best to give you assistance.
After briefly weighing up the pros and cons, Kionna esteemed it was too dangerous to deliberately lie to her and that the creature could even help her out of this whole ordeal. So she took a deep breath and tried.
Godmother, I'm not exactly the Kionna you know. I've lived through this night before. I escaped from the castle thanks to you, but things took a turn for the worse and I died.
Because of your own faults?
Or rather, I was about to die when I summoned you. I hastily wished to go back in time, and since then I keep thanking a crush of circumstances. During my last attempt, you noticed that my behavior was suspicious, and I confess everything. You then asked me to tell you the truth should the situation repeat again. This is what I'm doing now.
The princess lit up, plunging her gaze into the fairy's eyes. It was tormented, burning like fire, and the fairy thought she had caught a glimpse of her sufferings in it.
I implore you, godmother, help me. I don't want to perish once more.
What do you mean? We are here for that. I am here for that. For the first time since they had met, and they stayed silent, and the young woman knew it was not a good sign. After long seconds, she finally spoke.
I would like to thank you for your honesty, and the request that you keep your word again, should this not be our last discussion on this matter.
Then she kept quiet again, and walked a few steps with a pensive look.
I suppose my other self must have already admonished you copiously for the recklessness of your actions.
No?
More or less. You did not reprimand me, but you really wanted to. You also said that if I was doomed to relive the same night over and over again, you were likewise doomed to grant my wish and were to prepare to act to get both of us out of this vicious circle. Indeed, I'm inclined to do everything in my power to break the deadlock, however I will need more information. Give me a detailed account of what happened to you from the original timeline to your last death. But godmother, time is running short! Do you sincerely believe that blindly rushing forward is going to help, you dumbass? It is important to examine the situation from all sides before taking a decision. It will probably strip you of a good chunk of your night, but you will see that this time is well spent. Very well, godmother.
Come on, Kionna, not like you would come up with any good ideas. You're dumb. Let's face it, that's the reality. Sadly enough. Without further delay, Kionna presented the totality of her misfortunes because of her choices to the fairy, who listened as attentively as possible. She especially lingered over her stay at the Claremont's domain and how it had gone out of control.
I see. Thank you for this overview of the situation. As my alter ego must have already explained to you, your wish must have seemed acceptable when you first expressed it, but it is actually a cursed one. One does not play with time with impunity. Each time you repeat that wish, you become more and more reliant on its power, and you retain increasingly larger traces of magic on you. It is only going to lure bad luck. Yes!
Wait, what? Yes? What? Who said that?
What does this mean? You no doubt think that such power provides you with unlimited chances to change the course of time, but there is a trap in that reasoning, and you would have known it had you talked to me sooner. Each time you go back to the past, you actually reduce your probability of obtaining a happy ending. What? This is the world's tree's way of preventing humans from damaging the rules that determine the cosmos. Time itself tries to absorb the issue by suppressing the disruptive element. Any lesion in the fabric of time is punished more severely each time. Nice! When the disruptive element is an individual, it's very likely that they will meet a tragic fate. If you keep going, you'll only exacerbate your situation. But this is horrible! Is that why my deaths are becoming more and more brutal? Because I played with time? Exactly. I would advise you to stop immediately if you do not want your next death to be the last. Is it even possible for me to do otherwise? I'm only going back in time to escape death. I do not think this is entirely true.
Yeah?
You're certainly making fateful mistakes that lead to your peril, but are you not taking the easy way out too, even if the perceived easiness is a lie?
Yeah, she's trying to take the easy way each time. Kind of.
Had you accepted to pay the fairy's tribute, you would not have had to begin again. I know it's wrong, but I cannot proceed any differently.
Yes, you can.
Do not let yourself be triggered by your bias. You can carry out a different plan, you simply need to realize it. That does not help me much, godmother. Get a brain.
Medea sighed, rolling her eyes, which is understandable.
Very, very well. What's your intention, huh? What do you intend to do after what happened in Calamon?
It's the bull again. Okay.
I'm going to return there, naturally. Really, consider how your adventure ended. I have trouble understanding why you would want to relive it. This timeline indeed ended in disaster, but I was on the brink of fulfilling myself. I had given birth to Prince Tali's son and the heir, and he was ready to repudiate his wife should the child survive. Do you realize that your success relies on countless parameters you have no control over, you dumbass? All I do is repeat the same events until I reach a favorable moment, do I not?
Jesus, she's so dumb. For heaven's sake.
I do intend to denounce the odious wife before she commits her misdeed in order to escape death and convince the king I hold all the cards.
You saw this. You know what? I take everything back. I do not feel bad anymore about you having your tongue cut. Like, what the frick is wrong with you?
Your plan is brilliant. On paper, yet shaky in practice.
Even on paper it's shaky.
My dear, know that it is impossible to flawlessly repeat the events of a timeline. What's that? Luck, love. Luck. Some events are the result of shifting parameters. Thus going back in time resets the counters and you cannot possibly predict what the new outcome awaits you. For example, you have given birth to a baby, yet the mortality rate is very high, and it's not uncommon for a mother to be taken by infection. How can you know that you are not going to die during labor this time around? I might be of a very resistant nature. Either way, I can only be sure of it by trying one more time.
Dude, I thought I couldn't dislike her more. I still dislike her. Devs, when is the time that you mentioned that I will actually, you know, find her to be somewhat nice? Like, dude. Again, I mean, from my perspective, this is a good, a good creation of a character that you will not like, basically. Yeah.
Admittedly, but you are missing the point of my original argument. It is impossible for everything to proceed exactly the same as before. Do you have a better idea? I see none of as of now.
I mean, come on. You are constantly asking someone else to solve your problems. Like, shut up.
You don't seem to be able to catch a different plan anyway. I can see it in your eyes. What are you truly trying to accomplish?
Oh boy. Yeah, that's bullshit. The first one is not her. She's definitely going second one. I don't believe in the first one.
I admit my reasoning is not selfless in the slightest.
It's never been.
I would like the first and foremost to take revenge on Lady Seraphine.
You don't deserve to be given the revenge, to be honest. You really don't. You really don't.
After what she made me endure, she deserves to be punished in the same manner.
No.
I will take her place by the king's side, and I'll tarnish her reputation. Everyone will know what her little despicable schemes are.
I see. You care about restoring your honor, even though you've never had any.
Naturally, but this is only part of my revenge. The hardened bird of Ilomen cost is far too serious for me to content myself with simply freeing her from the Lord Tali's castle. Oh no, I'll quarter her, I'll watch every single second of her torture as she was mine. That way my thirst for blood will finally be quenched.
Dude, what the hell?
I would not be so sure if I were you. Blood calls for blood. Revenge only leads to more revenge in return. You would be well advised not to throw yourself in the new vicious circle. What do you suggest, huh? Forgiving my murderer? Let her take my life? Precisely. It sounds like a perfectly acceptable possibility. Have you lost your mind, godmother? Why would I let myself get killed? Correct me if I'm wrong, child, but you expressed the wish to go back to this night. To escape death, is that not it? You wanted another chance. That's right, I want to find a more favorable outcome. Did it cross your mind that it may not be possible? What do you mean? The world tree works in mysterious ways, and I could be wrong, but your destiny might be to perish, to break free from your father.
Yeah?
If that were the case, an attempt to avoid death can indeed only worsen, as one does not escape that destiny. Nonsense! If it was impossible to defy death, then you lied to me when you claimed you could make any of my wishes come true, even the wildest ones. But you did not wish to defy death. You wish to go back in time, which is completely different. I was not joking when I said the consequence of such power must not be overlooked. You dumb bass. In that case, I should simply ask you to save me without having to start over. This is one of many possibilities offered to you in such a situation. You dumb bass. I can undo your wounds, avenge you, switch souls and bodies in such a way as to reflect your enemy's cruelty back at them. Except that you'll have to pay the fairy's tribute this time. KKKK. Yeah, that is true. What was the price again?
Medea blinked, stunned.
Do you not remember? How dare you? It's just that I've been through so many things like that I'm starting to lose myself.
No, you just didn't care.
Losing yourself is indeed the right term. You've changed, princess. You've changed a lot. What a trash.
I mean, no, to be fair, has never changed.
Is that not natural after all those misfortunes?
She's always been trash.
I not believe. I'm wrong in stating that the last timeline has disrupted your whole being far beyond what you think. If the previous attempts had initiated the work, this one finished it. I beg your pardon?
The creature turned away, deep in thought.
Godmother?
Ooh, red eyes. The fairy finally walked toward her with an almost menacing look. Her shadow projected on the wall suddenly made her look monstrous. With glistening, grubby red eyes, she whispered in her ear,
Beware. You have lost sight of what is truly important.
Honestly, I would break the pact. If I was Medea. And then she casually stepped backwards and the illusion vanished. With a fake smile, she patted her shoulder.
It hardly matters. You're in a hurry or not, don't get ready. And I will hide you inside the golden pool like last time. You dumb bass. You'll find me in the hallway once you are finished.
Upon these brief words, she fell left through the door. Kionna was speechless. It was not so much her terribly mundane exit, although it did remove a lot of her fairy charisma, but what she had murmured that was troubling her.
I don't understand what is Medea trying to tell me.
That you're a dumbass. She shrugged and soon went back to what she was doing. Oh my god, that face again. I want to punch her now. Someone punch her, please. Probably warning.
But I will quickly prove to her that she's wrong. I'm stronger than fate. Nothing is unavoidable.
You're stronger than fate, yeah. Oh my god, she's so dumb, man. Once done, the young woman left her room and met her godmother.
I set you to rest, princess. Yet I cannot help noticing that you have been on your own since a little while ago. You do not wish to keep your trusted returner close to you. I consider it more useful to dismiss her for the night. I do appreciate Nahima a lot, but she can only hinder me at such a crucial moment.
Well, I mean, you will hinder yourself, so...
But enough talking, the prince is waiting for me.
Yeah, don't, shit yourself. She was so eager to reach the throne room that she did not even notice the sad expression fully visible on Medea's face. Taking advantage of the princess' absent-mindedness, she softly whispered,
She's in the process of crossing the line. I can feel it. It would be wiser to cast a spell on myself so that I can preserve my memories. I know I should not interfere, but this might promises to be never-ending for her and for me. But else, why do you have to be so stubborn?
Just break the pact, come on. Kionna's plan was executed exactly as it was. She concealed herself in a golden bowl and slumbered while the whole castle was losing its head over her disappearance. And even that this is clearly a new day, that's ended it for today. We'll continue in the next episode. Dude, Kionna is so dumb. It's like beyond me how much, basically. It's crazy. You literally have a fairy who can help you and you're like, no, I know better. What the hell? Ridiculous. Ridiculous. And yes, I dislike her even more. And yes, I still that Queen Seraphine sort of did nothing wrong. Yeah. I understand why she would do that, yes. And I don't blame her. She should go after the husband as well. Anyway, let's end it. Consider liking and subscribing as per usual. Always appreciate it. Game link in the description. And have a wonderful day. Bye bye!